Alright guys, TacticalCreator back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Monday. Back with another episode of Call of Duty Drama 101. Today I wanted to talk about Crimsix. A couple of big points he brought up over the last day or so. Firstly, relating to the Chicago Huntsman and this gentleman's agreement, which apparently was in play at the London event at this very past weekend. But also wanted to talk about the Atlanta event, which is just coming up this weekend, and some key issues with the game right now, which may cause some real pain to the organisers. And well, Crimsix reckons it's not a good situation right now. Of course, I don't have much experience trying to set up LAN matches and whatever in the game in the current state, but a lot of people are saying that this is a real issue right now, and it's potential that it will affect the Atlanta event this weekend very significantly indeed. Those are the topics for today. Like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it, and leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Starting with this then, so there was this thread yesterday saying like if you get rid of one of these four, who would it be? Black Ops 2 Karma, Ghost Crimsix, Advanced Warfare Scump, or Infinite Warfare Formal? And, you know, a lot of people are talking about this. The people saying Formal wasn't considered the best in the game all year clearly didn't watch much IW. And this is an impossible question, I guess. I would say Karma, just because his team's had at least amount of success after champs. It's still a stupid question. Yeah, I played 1v4, says Karma, about his team way back in the day on Black Ops 2, when he was on that Freako Impact team with Killer, Karma, and Killer, Miracles, and Parasite was the squad way back in the day. Very interesting question though, if you have to get rid of one of these players. Of course, Infinite Warfare Former does stick out in the memory because of how good he was at the end of the year. But let's not forget, like Zero, Octane, Gunless, towards the start of the year were all pretty much considered better than Formal. It was only the last two events where he was absolutely indomitable and no one could kill him at all. Advanced Warfare Scump was just phenomenal. That was probably his best year of play, given how good Scump was in general. It's tough to get rid of him. But Ghost Crimsix also was another level. Like, he was probably the best player that year. And then Black Ops 2 Karma, it's difficult to say. A lot of people say Black Ops 2 Karma was the best player in the Black Ops 2 season. Then again, I guess as we go through Call of Duty towards Infinite Warfare, we have more competition. So even though Formal wasn't necessarily undisputedly the best throughout the entire season, you know, you could say that with a better competition, then that was a better version of a player, I guess, than it was way back in the day. Very interesting question though, kind of funny that Karma said that about his former team way back in the day. Before we get on to the Crimsix stuff, I wanted to mention this from Spacely then. So what he says is, anywhere I can get a refund on this team pass I bought for Atlanta, unfortunately won't be attending due to unforeseen circumstances with having to find a last minute fifth for Panda. So there's been a couple of confirmations that it is going to be Panda going on to this Seattle Surge team, but we talked about how Enable's you know, moving away, and also there was a clip that came around with him talking about that, which we may well discuss tomorrow, his potential going forwards as well. But looks like Spacely was on the team with Panda, that kind of Seattle Surge Academy squad, waiting for LA with a worthwhile fifth with the right amount of practice as a squad. So yeah, pretty unfortunate if there's no way he can get a refund here. Thanks to Keegan as always for pointing this out to me on Twitter. So let's move on to this then. So Deserto reporting this, Crimsix claims Chicago Huntsman broke the CDL gentleman's agreement. Now the link to find the clip here is going to be down in the pinned comment, I guess, below. Right now I can't easily put the videos up on screen because I'm still using my backup setup, but in just a couple of days time we're going to have a reinvigorated setup. It's going to be a hell of a lot better. Also, it should be good enough for me to play and stream games at the same time. I've been playing a lot of CS lately. I was thinking maybe I might just slap the stream up on Counter-Strike if you guys are interested in that at all. So maybe keep an eye out for that if indeed that does happen at any point over the coming weeks. Regardless, this is what Crimsix says. So this is the scoreboard, of course, of the Chicago Huntsman versus Dallas Empire. Map 1 in the grand finals at London here on Azir Cave. 250 to 239. It was a really close game. They closed it out right at the end on that P2 or whatever it is on the Azir Cave map. Formula's a really great map. Now what Crimsix points to here is in the loadout section. Everything else, you got M4s, you got MP5s, kind of standard what you would expect to see. But it's the loadout section where things get kind of interesting. So you see on the Dallas Empire side, we have that's a stun indicative of a concussion in all games. Stun, concussion. The names have gone back and forth over the years. So you got a stun, you got a flashbang, which is this. You got a stun, you got a flashbang, you got a smoke. Now, as Crimsix says, this is what the gentleman's agreement is at the current time. You're allowed 2 flashbangs, you're allowed 2 stuns, and you're allowed to smoke. Now, first of all, this is a pretty crazy thing to have to police regardless, but I do see the utility of it, because if you were allowed, like let's say technically in the rules, you're allowed to run 5 smokes if you wanted to. It's not banned by the CDL that says you can't run 5 smokes. But if that was going to be the case, the game wouldn't really play its best, right? I don't think that's a secret. If you were spamming smokes everywhere, everything was smoked off all the time. You spawn up, you get a new smoke, you can chuck it. 5 versus 5, the smokes are pretty big in this game. that would be a really difficult game to play and probably wouldn't play its best from a competitive level and also from the fans to watch. So I can understand to some degree why this kind of things are implemented. At the same time, getting down to how many stuns and how many flashes you can use, maybe that's taking it a step too far. Right? We talked about the bar in World War II saying that, look, the bar, okay, it seems fairly reasonable, but at the same time, the pros said that you can't use long barrel on the bar, or that's gentleman's agreemented. So it kind of felt like at that point, when you're gentleman's agreementing, which effectively means the pros decide that, okay, we're not going to use that because it's too powerful, or it doesn't make the gameplay as best as it can from a competitive perspective, or it doesn't make it, it doesn't appeal best to fans or whatever. I'm not exactly sure that's how they're making the decisions, but quite often their decisions do benefit the viewing experience, I would say, on the whole. But when you're going down to real nitpitty things like, oh, you can't use long barrel on the bar, oh, you can't use 3 stuns, you have to use 2, maybe that's taking it a step too far. I'd be intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. But as you can see here, there's 3 stuns being used on the side of Chicago, only 1 stun being used on Gunless, and then a smoke. So what Crimsix is saying is, look, stuns are incredibly powerful on this map. They help you, especially when you're coming through smokes and stuff like that. On As Cave, they're probably more powerful than flashbangs significantly. You know, this could have had a difference over the course of a map. Now, I see his points here. At the same time, this is a very difficult thing to try and police. It's something that it's difficult to really come out on stream and complain about, given you've lost a map incredibly tightly. If they were using some sort of weapons that weren't meant to be allowed, or doing some other kind of, I guess, dodgy stuff, at the end of the day, they're using a stun instead of a flashbang. How much difference has that had over the course of this map? How much difference has that had over the course of a series? It might have been even something that they forgot about. Maybe Yasti's changed class by accident, or someone changed class by accident and it had a stun instead of a flashbang. It's something that's incredibly difficult to keep up with throughout the game. Seems pretty ridiculous that you would attempt to police this. This is only one screenshot, like, you know, who knows if a couple of minutes earlier, in fact, there was 2 flashbangs on the team and 2 stuns, but someone might have happened to change a class. That's certainly possible. We'd be intrigued to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below on this one. Is this really a big deal? I doubt it, but, you know, Crimsix comes out and says, look, you know, is it an excuse, I guess? To some degree, it seems like it. That's why these kind of things are just not worth saying, because it makes you think, as from a community perspective, like, oh, Crim's coming up with excuses why they lost, rather than the fact that they just lost to the better team. And I think Crim would agree they lost to the better team on the day. Just saying stuff like this makes it feel like he's trying to take something away from how good they are, which is probably not the thing to do when you've got to be working hard to try and be better than them yourself. But that's probably just my opinion. So moving on here to really the final couple of things I wanted to say about this lobby glitch. Talked about a couple of days ago, this new meta that might be coming into play. You got these new couple of guns that have come into the potential rotation as well, the Growl, the Striker, with this Season 2 launch. But a lot of issues have come out with it as well, and supposedly there's some big lobby glitches as well. I think Rated did a tweet maybe yesterday, maybe the day before, saying like, look, it's a real vibe kill right now that you can barely get in games. I don't understand the degree of the lobby glitch. So what Empire Crimsix says, first of all, is the cross-play lobby glitch. Now, what he's saying here, and I think I saw this somewhere else as well, is that if you join as a console player effectively into a lobby, you can have like 8 players in, and then you try and join as a PC player, because the PCs are used to control the game from a observing perspective. And I think I've even heard that at the proper events, they're actually joining on PCs and then still playing via the PlayStation controllers. Obviously, they're playing by PlayStation controllers, but they might actually be connecting to the lobby via a PC system. So they definitely have to use crossplay in order to have the PCs and the consoles in these lobbies, which apparently is causing a big issue. And if they haven't, is Atlanta chalked? Pretty serious issue. And then just before we go on to the next part, this is what Brian Saint says: the crossplay thing is secondary right now. LAN lobbies do not work at all. So this is an interesting situation, because usually the teams don't get much practice on LAN lobbies pre-event. They might have some boot camps and stuff, but a lot of teams nowadays, they have proper LAN facilities where they might invite other teams, or they might have a practice team. At least they can set up and test the game prior to going to an event. Brian Saint reckons LAN lobbies do not work at all, and Crimsix is like, what is going on here? And then Crim replies to his own tweet saying, since we're thinking about it, to all my Twitter lawyers out there, and he goes down to the comment section below, events like these probably cost about the 1 to 2 million mark, depending on venue, at least in some cases. Can the Atlanta team sue Infinite Warfare for single-handedly costing them millions because they couldn't patch something in time? Obviously wouldn't happen, but there's got to be some angry investors if an event gets cancelled over something as minor as this. So really intriguing that Crimsix is saying, like, look, is this event going to be cancelled? Is there some genuinely some big deals going on here that makes it impossible to actually play a game? we've seen this, that as of today, Search and Destroy rounds down to 1 minute 30, Domination rounds down to 5 minutes to try and speed up the game. But, you know, we could not even get into a game at all if this issue isn't fixed. In just a few days here, of course, there is still time to have hot fixes and stuff that fix these kind of things. But you got to be worried, right? Because typically when a hot fix comes out, it might fix one thing, and then something else breaks, and it could cause some real issues. So I'm going to be intrigued, and the way Reddit talked about this is pretty interesting as well, because if you guys remember back in the day, the UMG South Carolina LAN, that was really where everything kicked off with the Cronus Max, because as Bodnast says here, hundreds and hundreds of Bluetooth devices in one room really messed up people's controllers, because Bluetooth connectivity was still used back in those days. So basically, nothing worked to a great degree, especially in most of the events, and a lot of people having a really frustrating time. Nothing really worked, and I think Rise Nation ended up winning that tournament with Looney, and maybe it was Looney, Octane, that team back in the day, maybe Slackton Classic, if that was the squad. But regardless, like, the open event, it was not a pretty sight back in South Carolina. Now, you know, kind of a shame that UMG doesn't do events anymore, but still, pretty ridiculous stuff. And, you know, could we be seeing a similar situation here in this upcoming event, if this is as big a deal as a lot of professionals are making out? Because, you know, let's say they actually can't run their event for this reason, like, that's a huge impact, right? And that's not something that realistically can be done. Let's say we're getting so many delays because of these lobby glitches, which is something that's wrong with the game, and you can't even start up a professional match if that glitch is not fixed, which really does cause a huge knock-on effect of, you know, we'll just have to see. Infinity Ward obviously have to fix this as soon as possible, because if they don't, people have got their travel booked, of course, accommodation, all of that stuff for the weekend out in Atlanta. It's a weekend we're very much looking forward to seeing, of course, with all these professional teams. Finally, we're getting to see Huntsman versus Atlanta. I think maybe Dallas are at these weekend events. So, you know, this is going to be a really, really big weekend in theory. Hopefully it doesn't get marred by any issues like this, causing some problems with actually starting up and playing in LAN lobbies, because Brian Saint's saying right now you pretty much can't do that, which is obviously a real big concern. Be intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. If we get any news on this in the coming days, I'll be sure to let you know as well. Thanks for watching as always. Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. I will see you next time.